The mistake I made during those 4 years was that I relied only on allopathy. I never looked into alternate options of healing this.
Yeah.
Give this video a thumbs up if you know what it's like to have colitis. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. This channel is about helping people who suffer from colitis. Drop me a comment below about your colitis experience and go to my website High Carb Health for more info and a free 30-minute consultation. And don't forget, there most certainly is a life after colitis.
Initially, what kind of symptoms were you experiencing when you first got diagnosed? And then how did they get worse in terms of like explain to the audience what you were feeling and how it was affecting you?
So 2010, around November, I started seeing blood in my stools,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife is a respiratory therapist, and she's in a medical community, so she kind of knew that something is wrong. So
Mm.
we went to a colon surgeon,
Mm.
and he, by just examining by visual examination, he detected piles.
Right.
So then they did this rubber ligation technique to remove my piles. So
Mm.
that thing went on for I think a month or two, and after that all my piles were removed, and still I was getting blood. And I
Mm.
used to go to bathroom like multiple times, like 3 or 4 or sometimes 5 times a day, and then blood.
Mm.
So
Mm.
then my doctor realized that we need to do colonoscopy. So they did it in February 2011.
Mm-hmm.
They found that I had ulcerative colitis. It
Mm.
was left-sided colitis, restricted till my sigmoid region.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the symptoms were mainly of frequently going to bathroom around 5 times a day, and blood, and sometimes like stomach cramps.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did this affect your life in terms of work? And because I know you're quite keen to share, you've got multiple things that you do. You've got a YouTube channel, and you like to share your story on that as well. And so, we're going to put a link to your contact details in the description below. So if anyone wants to follow your journey and see what you're doing on YouTube and things like that as well, they're more than welcome to do
Sure.
that.
Sure. So, yeah. So, so my schedule wasn't this tight before, but what was
Mm.
happening is I live in New York area in
Mm.
USA, and I have a pretty good job. I work for Bloomberg, which is a
Mm.
major like fintech company, and I'm a software architect in that company. So my job is pretty busy. I do a lot of interesting things at my job.
Mm.
Uh, but other than that, my life was pretty cool. Like before this disease came into my life, and when it
Mm.
came in, like when everything is good and your life is, you don't have any trouble, and all of a sudden this kind of big shock come to you. It
Yeah.
sometimes it can almost depress you.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. I mean, I was always a positive person, like, and spiritually also very strong.
Mm.
But since this disease was not getting under control, or from 2011 to 2015, I struggled
Mm.
a lot actually. I
Mm.
went, the mistake I made during those 4 years was that I relied only on allopathy. I never looked into alternate options of healing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would go from one colon surgeon to other gastroenterologist. I even visited a
Mm.
gastroenterologist back in India.
Mm.
But then they all had same answer that this is
Mm.
an autoimmune disease. We don't know why it doesn't happen. You have to
Mm.
live with this disease and medicines. So, and around the same time, the disease was getting worse. Like initial 2 years, I did not have to take steroids, but now
Right.
I got into steroids. So I knew that this is progressively getting worse.
Mm.
2015, I reached almost a very low point where my
Mm.
flares were getting under control. And I was just thinking about this disease all the time. And
Mm.
one of the bad things that happens is when you do Google search, you always
Mm,
hear these horror stories, right? Like you go through
mm, mm,
forums and people like cutting their colons and things like that.
mm, mm,
That kind of puts one more like it kind of adds to your negativity, and you almost get into depression. So that's what
mm,
happened. And I decided at that point that I need to do something by which I can keep my brain engaged. So I
mhm,
started this YouTube channel to teach Python and data science and machine learning, because that was my domain, and I always had interest in teaching. So
mm,
if like someone is going through bad times, I would highly suggest that find out an activity where two things, like number one is that activity makes you happy. So that way your
mm,
brain is engaged into it and you're not just thinking about your problem, right?
mm.
All the time. I mean, you need to think about your problem and finding a solution, but
Yeah.
you shouldn't be thinking about it all the time because that doesn't help, right?
Mm,
So I wanted to find out an activity which can keep me happy, keep my brain engaged. And
mm,
another thing is it has to be something where you give back to society, and it
mm.
kind of giving back selflessly uh, helps you develop that compassion, and that compassion indirectly has an impact on your health. I mean, I strongly
Yeah.
believe in that principle. So that's the reason I started YouTube channel. I started
Mhm.
teaching. So I always say that this YouTube channel was born out of the darkest moments in my life.
Mm, mm.
And guess what has happened all these years? And it's been 4 years. My channel has grown to be more than 92,000 subscribers. I
That's
am
awesome.
talking to so many of them, and I'm feeling great. I'm also now earning some money through it, and
Yeah.
my health is all right now. So
Yeah.
I take my philosophical perspective on the colitis has always been that this has came as a blessing in disguise.
Mhm. Yeah. Shamiz believes the same. He feels the same about his journey because same kind of thing, right? He had the out of the darkest times comes the opportunity to help so many people like yourself, and you know that is something that I also feel strongly about. How we create our YouTube channel. There's 600 videos mostly about gut health on there. So there's definitely good things that can come out of bad times, and I think every cloud has a silver lining. So it's amazing
Yep.
what you did. Hmm.
Yep, totally agree. I mean, I know Samir's story, I know your story, and yeah, I think it's exactly the same thing. You guys
Hmm.
took very positively and started high carb health and
Hmm.
helped so many people, and now you are in doing this full time. So it's like pretty amazing, I think.
Hmm. No, it's a real blessing for us as well.